The role of photography in architecture is essential.
The primary role of architectural photography is to capture the imagination of whoever is looking at the photograph, to inspire and to uncover the true and limitless potential of the medium of architecture.
I am so thrilled to talk about photography, which I think is one of the rudimentary skills and attributes of being an architect.
I believe one of the biggest impact of architectural photography is it really creates a romance about architecture, and it allows people to see something and feel something without actually being there.
I would say the main role for architectural photography, especially different than, say, fashion or other types of photography, is documentation.
Architectural photography's role can vary quite a bit. It can zoom in on a project or architecture, and then it can speak about the details or the quality of the materiality, or it can zoom out a little bit and give the audience or the viewer sort of a sense of an overall design or composition.
Architectural photography is frozen music. Architecture is analogous to music.
Goethe said that architecture is frozen music. If that's true, then photography is the chorus, or it's the hook, it's the punchline.
What an image can do, what a photographer can do through the image, through architectural photography, I think is it can transport, obviously, a viewer across any sort of geographic boundaries.
The role of photography in architecture is essential, not only in documenting the work, but expressing the work.
Through a compelling image, a photographer can entice one to look at architecture in a whole new way.
And a good photographer can capture the poetry of the building.
The joy of architectural photography is the elevation of essences of a place and of architecture into an image which somehow gets deep into your soul.
I think one of these really incredible things that's happened in our time when we think about social media and we think about our access to images so immediately and so spontaneously, it really does allow us to experience the full breadth of design potential in the world. It also completely allows us to be anywhere in the world, anytime and any moment.
So we really learned about other places around the world in their culture, but through architecture.
Social media has kind of amplified the power of imagery, especially of architecture. So platforms like Instagram are amazing because you can, through a collection of images in a feed, convey a sense of an attitude towards space. And obviously we're transcending geographic boundaries.
As we move further into the 21st century, it's evident that the sum of all platforms is that thing that we hold in our hand every day, a smartphone. A smartphone at this moment is the platform for every creative endeavor.
I think the reason I really love architectural photography is because it's really closely aligned with the passion of my life, which is making architecture. And so when I am able to experience and see what other people are doing and making, it's actually incredibly inspirational to me.
Photography lets you consume and involve yourself in so many amazing spaces with such great detail that it's incredibly powerful.
And I was working with architecture photographers to curate home tours. And in that moment, I was still interested just in being an interior designer until I started working with these photographers, and I really liked how they were curating the space through their photographs. And I started directing all the shoots. Light it this way, do this composition, shoot at this time of day. And I realized, wow, I love design so much. I love architecture so much. But this is how I want to share my love of design architecture, is through photography.
My work often evokes classic Hollywood style. So in a way, I guess the art and architecture of Hollywood, seen through photography, has been a prominent part of my life since I started out.
Actually, photography for me was an alternative career path that I chose not to follow, but I did study photography briefly.
A photograph has the ability to transcend time.
So it's a beautiful way to capture the years of hard work that go into creating a building by the hundreds, if not, thousands of people who work on the project, depending on the size of it, in a way that's like fresh and beautiful and both lighthearted and very powerful. So that's why we love photography.
Good evening and welcome to the 4th Annual Architectural Photography Awards, a program created by AIALA Los Angeles to honor the photographers who celebrate architecture in pictures and the images that preserve design, as a reference for future designers, but also an encapsulation of time as well as place. My name is Wade Killifer, and I have the privilege of being this year's president of the Los Angeles chapter of the American Institute of Architects. As architects, we are uniquely reliant on the eye of the photographer. We need them to understand our work as much as we do, and then have the skills to translate that distillation into a single frame that only has one plane. These pictures, no matter what their size, take on a life of their own, telling stories of architecture to local, national, and global audiences. How many young designers were influenced by Julia Schulman and Marvin Rand's photographs of the case study homes? And beyond our own profession, how many turned west, captivated by the lifestyle these images offered? Photography is powerful. It can literally make or break a project when submitted to an award program, when communicated to the community, or simply when shared with friends on social media. Just like people, projects have angles, perspectives, moments, and appeal. A skilled artist, a great photographer, is able to create a mood and a story for even the most modest projects. Photographers being awarded today. So, with you, I look forward to discovering their images and the stories behind them. Thanks for spending your evening with us. Now, please enjoy the 2021 AIALA Architectural Photography Awards.
Thank you, Wade. Good evening, my name is Carlo Cacavale. I am the Executive Director for AIALA Los Angeles, and I'm really delighted to see you all here tonight. We are all experiencing a touch of Zoom exhaustion, but I truly believe that technology has had a very strong role in bringing us all together this year. It has been a year of hibernation for sure, but what did we learn this year? Well, definitely we learned how to work from home, we learned how to bake, and we probably gained a pound or two. But we've done something else. We have walked through our cities. We have taken so many more pictures of our neighborhoods, of our communities, which have all been affected by the pandemic and by the outpouring of people in them, asserting it's time for social justice. I probably must have taken over 1,000 pictures this past 12 months during my evening walks to get some exercise and clear up my mind a little bit. This is why this year's Architecture Photography Award is more relevant than ever. And I would like to introduce the 3 jurors that could make this year's APA happen for us. Michael Cacavale, designer and founder of United Futures. Craig Shimahara, honorary AIALA Los Angeles president and founder of Shimahara Visual. And Claire Zimmerman, author and associate professor in architecture history and theory at the University of Michigan. They met a couple of weeks ago and went over 267 images provided by 102 participants. That's a pretty big number of submissions that we received this year. This year, besides the 2 standing categories, Best Image and Best Instagram Feed for firm and photographers, we have introduced 2 new categories, renderings, as well as images that will be best representing the COVID moment in which we have spent the last year. I am very excited to see the selected images. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce the first juror to introduce the Best Instagram category, Michael Cacavale.
Good evening, everybody. It was a pleasure to review all of the submissions this year. And like Carlo mentioned, we're going to start with Best Instagram Photographer. We have one winner in this category, and the award for Best Instagram Photographer goes to Michael Wells for his Instagram account, Regressionary Movements. Congrats, Michael. The photographer's eye comes through in a cohesive aesthetic, a unique coupling of built structures and urban landscapes. This feed feels like a single performance piece, a photographic poem on the kitsch, colors, and a beauty within the Duchampian disuse of Americana. Here's Michael Wells to accept his award.
Hi, can you see me and hear me?
Yep, coming in.
Oh, okay, great. Wow, this is surprising. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I started off as a designer, and most of my regular work is as a regular straight ahead architectural photographer and interior photographer. But this is my fun way to stay in touch with kind of exploring ideas in architecture that are interesting to me. So through landscape and architecture and urbanism. So I'm really glad that you all liked it. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Michael. It's fantastic. Congratulations. And now let's just take a second. That's great. And now on to Best Instagram Firm. We also have one winner in this category, and the award for Best Instagram Firm goes to Ehrlich Yanai Reed Cheney Architects. So for this one, we looked for good content and a good use of the tool as well. What immediately stood out was the cohesive branding across all graphics. The diagrams, renderings, photographs, and stories all gave insight to the people behind the projects. This feed showcases thoughtfully curated imagery organized into clear, but not too rigid patterns. Fantastic play of geometry, scale, color, and negative space. Beautiful photography and design. And here to accept this award is Gibran Villalobos from EYRC.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gibran. I'm a designer at EYRC, but I also run the Instagram account with the help of our marketing team, Sigita and Enki, and of course, the support from our partners, Steven, Takashi, Patty, and Matthew. And we just wanted to thank the AIA and the jurors for this honor. So thank you.
Congratulations, great account. Thank you to everyone who submitted for the Best Instagram account this year. Now I will hand it off to my fellow juror, Craig Shimahara, to announce the Best Rendering category.
And thanks, Kako. And I wanted to say real quick that it was a pleasure to work with you and Claire and the rest of the AIA on the jury this year. It was my first time, and I certainly hope to do it again. Speaking of first times, the AIA Los Angeles has introduced a brand new category for the photo awards this year, and that is the Best Renderings category. And we have awarded 2 merits for this category. The first merit award for Best Rendering goes to Miguel Rodrigo with Here and Now Agency for their work entitled Private Home. This quiet illustration deftly weds the architecture with its site while maintaining a clear understanding of compositional hierarchy. It does so with a painterly layering of horizontal stripes alternating between snow and natural landscape, like the fingers of a white-gloved hand loosely intertwined with one that's bare, then slipping the project into its environment like a well-placed ring. Here to accept this award is Paul Vu from Here and Now Agency. Paul?
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much. It's a great honor. Miguel's here too, so I'll just say hi real quick and hand it off to him. But yeah, a lot of great renderings. I'm speechless. Miguel, take over for me.
Well, first of all, thank you, the AA, for giving us such an honor. It's really amazing that the fact that we also started the agency this year. So for us, it's a great push and for make us believe on our work and believe that we can move forward. This was a great project. We actually got the chance to, as most of us, some of us are designers too, and we get the chance to design this house as well. So it's great when the clients allow you to not only be creative, but also capture things the way you think is best for the design itself. So I don't want to extend my speech too much. So thank you, the AA, and good luck to everyone.
That's great. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. Beautiful work. And you guys might want to stick around a little bit because the second award is another merit award for best rendering, and it also goes to Here and Now Agency for the work entitled Cemetery. So the tantalizing hints at a story within this netherworldly illustration outweigh any technical head scratching. An excellent showcase of cell shading in 3D, the playful colors in contrast to the subject matter. So you guys are here. Why don't you take it away? So a few more words, please.
Just as a short explanation, this is a completely different animal. Let's say we got involved with the architects since the beginning, trying to understand what they wanted to express. It was a competition for them. So it was all about trying to understand the concept of a project, which in this case was sometimes it's related with very sad feelings, and at the same time how we can show that it could be a positive place, because it was related to the concept of it becoming a park, etc. So it was a really challenging while interesting project that we had to be really connected with the architects in order to proceed and create the graphics. So yeah, it was an amazing one. Thank you the jury, and thank you the AIA again for this honor.
Well, congratulations, Miguel and Paul. And I know firsthand how difficult it is to infuse renderings with story. So nice job on that. The AIA Los Angeles looks forward to this new category growing in 2022. But now we're going to move on to the best image category. And to start this off, I'd like to introduce Claire Zimmerman.
Thanks, Craig. Can you see me? This year, the AIA also introduced a new subcategory within the best image category. Many of the photos submitted this year touched on the times that we're living in. However, there were 3 photos that truly interpreted the year 2020 through the lens of COVID-19, equitable design, and social justice. In fact, taken together, these photographs form a COVID triptych that presents the environmental sequel of the pandemic at 3 different scales, from the air, on the street, in the room, all linked by a sense of atmospheric loneliness and isolation. The first best image winner in the subcategory of COVID-19, equitable design, and social justice goes to Ashok Sinha for Looking North. The image evocatively captures the internal world of COVID lockdown, looking outside the window through our pandemic days to see outside slowly coming into focus. This year, we asked all best image winners to share a video explaining the narrative behind the photo. Please enjoy this video from Ashok.
Hi, my name is Ashok Sinha, and I'm an architectural photographer based in New York City. Welcome to my home. Like many of you, during the lockdown last spring, I spent many days inside my apartment. So I found ways to get creative and observe my surroundings in ways I hadn't done before. Especially every morning, when I looked through my window, I could see the Empire State Building. To me, it was a beacon of hope and a symbol of strength and resilience of the city during the worst of the pandemic. I'm honored that AIALA has chosen my work to be featured in this year's Architectural Photography Awards. A big congratulations goes out to all the other winners.
Congratulations, Ashok. The next best image winner in this subcategory goes to Aaron Araki for Beach Day 2020. An aerial view of a post-COVID world, this empty beach scene strikes Angelenos with awe. To others, the conjuncture of mobile homes and prime beachfront comes as a visual conundrum, reminding viewers of the specificity of Los Angeles life. Here is a video from Aaron Araki.
This is a picture I took overlooking the Pacific Coast Highway. And initially the thing that kind of stood out to me was the pool being so close to the ocean. But then after looking at it a little more, what really struck me was just sort of how there was hardly any sign of life in the photo. And this was, of course, in the earlier stages of the pandemic lockdown, and state parks and beaches had been closed by this point. And what's kind of interesting is practically every carport down below, the car is parked in it. Everything is kind of very neat and orderly because no one's really doing anything. And I just thought it was kind of interesting. To me, it really sort of visually summed up the kind of world that we had been and are still living in.
Aaron, thank you. Our final Best Image winner in the subcategory of COVID-19, Equitable Design and Social Justice goes to Elizabeth Daniels for Inequity. Fully frontal and brutally honest, the photograph reminds us how unevenly the effects of COVID have been distributed in US society and around the world. Here is a video from Elizabeth.
It's June 1st, 2020, 5 days after Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd. In the historic core of downtown Los Angeles, the corner of 6th and Spring is a central part of the protest route. This photo is part of a series taken during the weeks of protest and military occupation of Los Angeles. A witness to this moment in time, I was surprised by the excessive force used by police against protesters and journalists. Looters did not look like protesters. The heavily armed National Guard was an intimidating and glaringly unnecessary presence. Designed in 1910 by City Hall architect John Parkinson, this former bank now holds expensive lofts and ground floor businesses. It provides the backdrop to this photo that for me is a metaphor for inequity, lack of fairness or justice in America.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And to all the winners who submitted images for this subcategory and really captured these unprecedented times. I will now hand back to my fellow juror, Kako, to announce the citation level winners in the Best Image category.
Thank you, Claire. In the Best Image category, we have 6 citation winners. And I'm excited to announce the first one goes to Jeff Durkin, Associate AIA for Blade Runner. Blade describes the angular edge of the building and the prosthetic of the runner. The photograph is beautifully shot and framed and brings into our visual repertoire an expanded notion of ability. Defiant, proud, built for speed, even the building leans forward, gobbling up tiny competitors. Please enjoy this video from Jeff Durkin.
This image was taken in Dallas, Texas at the City Hall. I work as a documentary filmmaker, and I had the chance to document this athlete named Mike Atherton, who was a triple amputee. He was a semi-professional water skier. His boat blew up and he lost both arms and a leg in the accident. And we were creating a documentary following him coming back to sports and running his first 5K in Dallas, Texas. The image was snapped the night before the race as he was warming up. There's I.M. Pei's Dallas City Hall was right there, big brutalist concrete building, and it just captured the materiality and the humanity together to show his amputees, his blades that he was using to run on, and that hard diagonal and that concrete, that neutral concrete. I thought it was just a striking image. Mike loved it. He ended up completing the race the next day. It was his first 5K. He ran it with his daughter. So it was a really special documentary and a great way to end it. And this beautiful architectural photo kind of came out of it during the process.
Thank you, Jeff. Congratulations. Our second winner receiving a citation goes to Gordon Stott, AIA for Fire, Rebuild, Delivery, Completion, Malibu. Construction photographs exert an enduring fascination in the depiction of architecture. Here, such a photograph recalls a devastating event and an ongoing environmental crisis. It draws on a long tradition of construction photography as the depiction of renewal and regeneration. This classically composed photograph of a handsome, sumptuously sited project paints a portrait of resilience, strength, and possibility. Here's a video by Gordon.
Thanks AIA for liking this photo. We've started to get more serious about documenting our prefab installations in an effort to capture the excitement of the delivery process. Delivery day is like flying. It's a spectacular experience, but can also get a bit boring. Even though all the mods go down in a few hours, it can be hard to maintain energy and enthusiasm. And taking iPhone photos or even videos doesn't really do justice to the experience. So we're starting to make more an event out of documenting our deliveries. This project, a fire rebuild in Malibu, is literally perched on the edge of the world. The crane had to pick up the trailers and turn them around. It became apparent if the house were to slide down the hill, it would possibly come to rest in the ocean breakwater about a mile away. While we took a lot of good photos that day, this photo ended up being my favorite because of the decks and the framing. Kind of looks like an instant case study house. It's modest in scale, but the view is so disproportionately extreme. We also used photographs from this install to make our holiday card. I really liked how this looked like a liquor ad from the 1990s. Thanks again.
Thank you for that, Gordon. And congratulations again. Our third citation winner goes to Jeff Durkin, Associate AIA for Stair Builder. Prefabricated but historically grounded, the image of a stair to nowhere has metaphorical traction, even as the photograph also refers to the increasing automation of buildings and their fabricated parts. The stability of constructed materials contrasts with the mobile figure in yellow, whose movement reminds us of the temporality of the construction process and of architecture itself. This photograph underscores the fact that stairs have been celebrated as art since at least the Laurentian Library, especially since the spiral sculpture on display here doesn't even connect to anything. So fun. Erico and Ma would be proud. Please enjoy this video by Jeff.
So here we are at the UCSD campus. So one of my walks on campus, I brought my camera, and there's this beautiful Perkins and Will research building right behind me there that's under construction. And I saw this spiral staircase kind of reaching up to the sky with nothing around it. And I pulled out my camera and I snapped a few shots, and then a security guard in a yellow jacket was walking around campus, and I snapped a few more as he was walking away. And over by the staircase, some yellow tarp kind of got in the corner of frame, and that gave me this beautiful image of kind of blue, cool lighting and pops of yellow and just architecture in its most sculptural and purest form. So it's a great blend of all the things that I love in a photo. So I'm glad you loved it too. Thank you for the award.
Congratulations, Jeff, and great job on that photo. Our fourth citation level winner in the best image category goes to Darren Bradley for Harlem. A period image of a period building, gesturing to the liveliness of a Harlem now threatened with the creeping effects of widespread gentrification. The highly deliberate framing of this photograph allows the viewer to appreciate the quaint and quirky beauty of the multicolored facade in a manner that is likely underexperienced. And here is a video by Darren to explain the story behind the photo.
Good evening. So I've been asked to make a video, and I think after seeing it, most of you will understand pretty quickly why it is I'm a still photographer. But that said, I wanted to thank AIA Los Angeles and the members of the jury. It's quite an honor. It really means something to me, so thank you. As far as the photo itself, not much to tell other than an exercise in patience and maybe a little bit of frustration, because there was a big row of cars parked in front of the building. I set up my tripod in the middle of the street and waited for them to leave. And one by one they did, but there was just that one car that wasn't going anywhere. And eventually I just had to give up. So I guess it just goes to show you that every once in a while giving up pays off too, because the photo turned out pretty good, and I think the car kind of works in the end. So thank you very much again, and I hope to see you all again next year. Take care.
Thanks, Darren. That car really does work. We have two more citation winners in the best image category. So the first one goes to Jordan Wyatt, AIA, for Rebuilding from Wolseley 3. Construction workers in action, not carefully composed, but spontaneously engaged in the labor of building. A reminder that we are always rebuilding. Each member in the group wears a face mask, not to protect from the Wolseley fire, but due to the global pandemic. Here's a video from Jordan showing these workers in action.
Rebuilding from Wolsey documents the process ventured through with our client, restoring her home and memories lost in the 2018 Wolsey fire. Here we illustrate the complexities of hillside construction, when there are no available records of how the previous home and retaining wall were built. On a narrow site, pinned between two roads, a torsion beam is assembled atop a new colonnade of 50-foot caissons to reinforce the existing wall holding up the road above, one of the many hurdles encountered to comply with current seismic code requirements. A different kind of relationship is forged with a project under such devastating circumstances for the owner, architect, and all collaborators involved in the rebuilding effort. Urgency to simply get people back into their homes becomes our collective North Star, and we've been fortunate to partner with so many talented craftspeople to help steer us through each step of the rebuilding process.
Thank you for that, and congratulations again. And our final citation winner in the Best Image category goes to Ancott AIA for Preservation Realities. The collage of this image is a collage of time, U.S. disurbanization and economic decline. The elements are not perfectly aligned in the image, but they sum up the dilemma of preservation today. What to save? A portrait of three buildings juxtaposed in style, equally forgotten. Pilasters, Doric, pilotis, they all stand for collapse in this somber portrait of urban decay. Here is Anne with a little background about the image explaining this historic site.
Preservation Realities is a photo I took last year in Newberg, New York, where I grew up. It's about 60 miles north of New York City. It's an old city going back to the 1600s. There's a Washington headquarters from the Revolutionary War, and there's a wealth of 19th century architecture. It was a great place to be a budding architect, but then there are the current realities. I always loved the proportions of this once elegant brick building, which was built in 1850 by Downing and Vaux. My photo has only a part of the south side. A fire in 1981 left it as a large-scale planter in art canvas. The 1835 Dutch Reformed Church is a jewel. It was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1970, shortly after it stopped being a church. I knew it as a concert hall for the local Philharmonic. As of 2001, it's a National Historic Landmark, with many people fighting for its preservation. On the right of my photo is the 1976 Newberg Free Library, in the Brutalist style. Of the three buildings, it is the only one currently that has approved funding for renovations.
Thank you for that description, Anne. Let's take a moment to congratulate all of the citation winners. So congratulations, everybody. Round of applause. Fantastic. I'm going to hand it back to Craig Shimahara to announce the merit level winners in the Best Image category.
Okay, thank you, Kako. In the Best Image category, we have 4 images receiving a merit award this year. And the first merit award goes to Paul Vu for Louvre. A lacy scrim dominates the upper register of the image, contrasting the stark white walls below. 4 women clothed in black concentrate the viewer's attention, standing amid dappled light from the ceiling above. The porous elevation of the Jean Nouvel Arab Institute in Paris finds Baroque expression in a massive domed ceiling in Abu Dhabi, only to be transformed back into an elevation by this exquisite photograph. Please enjoy this video from Paul.
Hi everyone, my name is Paul Vu, and I was asked to share some information about my photo entry this year. I just happened to be traveling overseas right before the pandemic hit, and actually almost didn't make it back. So it might be difficult to take you there to show you the location, but we can look at it here. This is the Louvre of Abu Dhabi. Obviously, it's a French institution. The architect is also French, Jean Nouvel. So this photo is really about contrast to me. We have a single point perspective showing how rectilinear the white walls are to really set off that ceiling. And, because it's in a completely different part of the world, we have this cluster of women in their abaya below, and the last one happens to be adjusting her hijab, which, to me really set all of this off. And so that's my image in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. And our next Merit Award winner goes to Jeff Durkin, Associate AIA, for Family at the Library. And this is his third award. A family group caught in the act of marveling at the Pereira Library at UC San Diego, a portrait of monumentality. It looks like a still straight out of Tales from the Loop, a fantastic use of color. Here's another great video from Jeff.
We're here at University of California, San Diego, where I took the photo for Family in front of the library. I took that shot during COVID when everything was being locked down for the first time. It was kind of a tense, weird moment. I wasn't doing a lot of work in Los Angeles at the time, so I'd come down to San Diego and just go on a run and work out. And I'd started to come to the UC San Diego campus because it was empty and it had great architecture. And I started to bring my camera and snap pictures of architecture. Well, I noticed during the evenings, this place became like a city park. Families, dog walkers, couples would come in the evening. And I captured one where a family was on a bike ride. They had the perfect color. I talked to them. I had them kind of get in the frame so I can get the perfect shot. And they happened to all be looking at the library. The lighting was great. They had this beautiful piece of brutalist architecture in the background. You had a blue sky, and it was just a perfect moment. So I snapped it, and it's one of my favorite photos that reminds me of the COVID era when people were trying to get outside in the evening.
Thanks, Jeff, and congratulations. Moving right along, our next merit winner for the evening is Luis Ayala for Washing Tyrell. Compositionally striking, the image gets its charge from the individual cleaning Tyrell's sky space. Using photography to flatten space often comes at the expense of architectural intent or understanding, but this playful Malevich-esque composition was simply too fun to pass up. Here's a video from Luis.
My wife and I were on an assignment to photograph a building at Rice University. When we were walking towards our building carrying all of our gear, I noticed there was a guy perched on a boom lift working on the Tyrell's piece. And I thought to myself, what is he doing? And I can picture this image clearly in my head already, and I wish I can say I had my camera ready and started photographing, right place, right time. But it was quite the opposite. Very slowly we started unpacking all of our gear out of the boxes, setting the camera on a tripod, trying different lenses, and at one point I looked at the guy and he was looking at me thinking, what is he doing? So I chose a 45mm still shift and I shifted my lens all the way up. And I noticed that this roof that was perfectly flat, horizontal before, suddenly became vertical on the composition. And I play where the boom is pointing at, so it is the center of the composition, the guy working. Suddenly he grabbed a water hose and started splashing water under the roof, and that made an explosion of light. And that's when I say, oh, and I press the shutter.
Thanks, Louise. Such fantastic photography. Our final merit level winner in the best image category goes to Gerald Smolevich for Marginal Gothic. The vertical grandeur of the interstitial space of highway infrastructure captured in an image populated by a stray dog and a pair communicating in the depth of the picture, lit by the rising sun. Within this cathedral, the two congregants at the backlit altar and the one sniffing around in the pews are each subject to an all-powerful, omnipresent eye, the camera. Here's a video from Gerard.
I part from the premise that only when a place is broken does it expose its hidden truths. My work explores the inherent beauty of dysfunctional landscapes that only reveal their soul when viewed and isolated through the photographic frame. The location for this photograph is a derelict no man's land beneath an expressway in an already visibly impacted environmental sacrifice zone, where the environmental toxicity becomes the default home for endemic poverty. Through the viewfinder, I discovered a space occupied by an almost cathedral-like verticality, with golden light illuminating the altar, reminding me of the Cathedral of Amiens that I visited many years ago. There's even an adult giving what appears to be a sermon to a young child. The camera objective triggers memories of other places, things, experiences, an almost romanticist reimagining of reality through a controlled optical distortion called a photograph.
Congratulations, Gerard. So great to hear the intent and the thoughts of the artist behind the camera. Let's take a moment to thank all of the merit level winners. Congratulations. Okay, thanks everyone. I will now pass it back to Claire to announce the honor winners for the night.
Thank you, Craig. This year we awarded 2 images as honor awards. These images stood out from the beginning for all of us. And the first one goes to Marius Nimitz, AIA, for Transformation. The image powerfully dramatizes the uneven development between financial accumulation in global urban centers and the specificities of local sites. This portrait of a brick landscape squarely questions the economic adage that the rising tide lifts all boats. The background, midground, and foreground elements solemnly read like a stacked bar chart. Multinational development on top, bearing down on a dry local economy, leaving the individual at the bottom with nothing in his hands and hiding his face. Here's a video from Marius.
Good evening, everyone. I took this picture in India, part of southern Mumbai that is projected to be underwater by 2050. Every time I think of this moment, different memories come to mind, just like the layers of Indian reality combining past, present, and future in a single frame. It's a story of a pilgrim walking to visit 14th century mosque on the island accessible only during the low tide. It's a story of a fisherman about to board his boat and sail away with the rising waterline. It's a story of growing forest of modern concrete towers transforming lives of Indian people. And more than anything, it's a story of glorious summer morning light, projecting hope that will protect our habitat and keep improving our human condition and lives for everyone. Thank you.
Congratulations, Marius, and thank you. Our final award in this category and for the evening and an honor winner goes to Tzu-Chin Yu for From the Cocoon. The photograph depicts the long-delayed Taipei Dome, partially wrapped in scaffolding. Bathed in pink light from the rising or setting sun, the image evocatively interposes duration into a still image. Ghostly images of barren cityscapes are ubiquitous these days. How refreshing to see a familiar metaphor of hope within this stunning architectural COVID moment, replete with unfolding glassy wings stretching out towards the sun. Tzu-Chin also won 2 APA honor awards last year and flew to LA from Taiwan for the awards ceremony. This year, we have a video from Tzu-Chin Yu, which we'll share with you now.
Hello everyone. I'm Tzu-Chin and I'm honored to be favored by the judges again. The works I selected this time are from my hometown, Taiwan. Actually, it's not the first time I photographed this building. I photographed several times during his construction. I am very fascinated by this inorganic way of growth. This will be our first indoor baseball stadium, so baseball fans are looking forward to his completion, but he encountered a lot of controversy during the construction process, which led to a complete shutdown for a few years, and construction will start again in 2020. It is expected it will be opened in 2022. At the time of the shutdown, it looks like a huge modern relic that can only be seen in the deserted world in the future. It is very eye-catching. Although the state of shutdown has existed for several years, as long as he appears in a completed posture, the appearance of the shutdown will be no one remembers that this is a strange phenomenon, and it is also one of my intentions for recording such topics.
What a great program.
Thank you.
Really how terrific to hear all this personal story.
I'm so sorry. I had
no worries.
Of course, the last thing, but we definitely I think I'd like to, before we go into this last bit, if we could all unmute ourselves and congratulate all the winners. But Claire, please finish your part first. While she's doing that, everyone unmute yourself, and we're going to congratulate people vocally.
Congratulations to all of the award winners.
Congratulations, everybody.
Great
job.
On behalf of the other jurors, it was truly a wonderful experience to view all of these extraordinary images. Let's take a moment to celebrate all of the winners. Well done.
Yay! Congratulations. All right, and hang on tight. Make sure you mute yourself now, and we just have one little bit, and then we can chat a little bit more. Hang on.
What a great program, and really how terrific to hear all these personal stories about this amazing photography. Congratulations again to all winners for celebrating the built environment and the profession. Thank you all for spending your evening with us. Take good care, and I look forward to seeing you to the 2022 Architecture Photography Award in person. Good night.